Have you ever noticed that two people can experience something very similar and have completely different reactions? Or maybe you've noticed something even stranger. The same thing happens to you on two different days, and one day you handle things pretty well, but the next day not so much. So for years I thought that I experienced pain, and then the natural reaction was worry and fear. That makes sense, right? I thought pain happened, and then I reacted. End of story. But eventually I started applying a concept that we had previously taught together. We had taught couples in a couple communication program developed by Dr. Sherrod Miller and his colleagues. And that tool is called the awareness wheel. And it helped me realize that there were various ways that my brain was responding to pain. And once I understood that, I started finding places where I actually had more influence than I realized. And that was incredibly hopeful. So today we're going to talk about how the awareness wheel can help us better understand our response to chronic pain.
Yeah, one of the things I like about the awareness wheel is that it slows things down. I mean, I remember when you and I were teaching couple communication, it was so important for those couples to slow things down because it's really easy to get fast. And when it comes to pain, most of us think the pain just kind of happens and then we react, right?
But there's actually several things happening in between, aren't there? And understanding those steps actually help us become better managers of our pain. Because if we understand what's happening inside us, we realize we actually do have options in how we respond. So the first part of the awareness wheel is facts. So facts are simply what we observe through our senses. What we see, hear, touch, smell, taste, or physically experience, like pain or other uncomfortable sensations.
Yeah, that's right.
So, for example, I wake up in the morning and my back hurts. That's a fact.
Yeah,
or maybe
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Or maybe like me, I sit in a chair for a while and I feel discomfort.
Sure.
That's a fact. Another one, maybe my doctor says my MRI hasn't changed recently. That's a fact. Facts are simply information. And the challenge is that we rarely stop at facts. Actually, we never stop at facts, do we?
No, because facts kind of happen and our brain goes straight to doing what?
Almost immediately we move to the next part of the awareness wheel, don't we?
Yes.
Because once we receive information, our brain starts interpreting it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is the thoughts part of the awareness wheel.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is where things get interesting, because two people can receive the exact same fact and create completely different meanings from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, for example, my back hurts this morning.
That would be a fact.
That would be a fact.
Right.
And one thought might be, oh no, here we go again. Another thought might be, well, I've had this before, but it got better. This is a temporary flare. I'll get through it. Or even another thought, I don't like this, but thankfully I've been learning some good ways to manage this, and I'm going to start working on some of those strategies. So see, we've got the same fact, but we can make several different interpretations from that fact.
Yeah, and I guess most of us, we don't even realize. We don't even realize that we're interpreting.
Nope.
We kind of just think that, I'm just observing reality. But as we've known for a long time, and as we've applied it to pain, we're actually assigning that thought piece, that thought step. It's assigning meaning to the facts or the situation.
That's right. And for years, I was assigning some pretty scary meanings. Yeah. So my thoughts, interpretation sounded like, I'm getting worse. I'm back to square one. I can't handle this. Or nothing's going to ever help.
Yeah, those were pretty, scary thoughts, scary interpretations.
Right. And they weren't facts, even though they felt like it sometimes. They were interpretations. And that distinction was very important.
It was not only important, it was profound.
Your favorite word.
That's right, it is my favorite word. It reminds me of a quote by Viktor Frankl. Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist. In his book, he talks about a concept which is really profound. He says that between stimulus and response, there is space. And that space is our power to choose our response. So in a sense, this whole awareness wheel that you're talking about really defines that whole space, because the stimulus would be facts, and everything else we're talking about is the space, the interpretation, and all the other steps.
Okay. Yeah. And I love that, our power to choose our response.
Yes.
Wow. That is really powerful, Jim.
In the space between stimulus and response is our power to choose.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
No.
But it does make a really big difference, right? So in future videos, we're going to talk about strategies to help us work on those thought interpretations, okay? But let's go on. The next part of the wheel is emotions.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, many of our emotions are influenced by the thoughts we have about a situation. So let's go back to our example for a minute. Fact, my back hurts today. That's a fact. The thought is, we might say, interpret, I'm getting worse. And so how might I feel in that situation? Probably scared, discouraged, frustrated, even hopeless, right?
Yep.
But now let's go back to the fact, my back hurts today, and let's change the interpretation. Change that thought to, I've had flares before and they've settled down. Well, the pain hasn't changed, but my emotional response often does when I've interpreted things just a little bit differently, right?
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty important. We're not saying that emotions aren't real, right?
That's right.
They absolutely are. Just like our pain. We never say that our pain isn't real. It's always real. But we are saying that thoughts influence how we feel.
And that is definitely the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, Jim, when I started realizing how much my thoughts influenced my feelings and sometimes even my pain levels, I began understanding how powerful my thoughts and basically interpretations of the facts, how powerful that actually is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the next step then?
All right. So the next step on the wheel is my wants or intentions, some people call it. Okay.
Yeah.
So once we feel something, often it causes us to want something.
You mean once we feel like an emotion?
Right. Yeah. So once we feel an emotion, it causes us to really want something.
Yeah.
For example, if I feel afraid,
Sure.
I may want safety, right? If I feel discouraged, I might want some relief.
Okay.
What if I feel overwhelmed? I actually may want to escape.
Yes.
Yeah. One more. If I feel hopeless, I may want to just quit trying.
Yeah.
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 So, whether good or bad, our feelings often influence what we want next.
And it almost seems, and this is the reason why I really like the awareness wheel, because all this almost seems like it's happening automatically.
Right.
We're not consciously deciding. It almost is just a part of being human, right?
Yes. And once we can identify what we want, we have a better idea of what we're looking for to satisfy that want, right? And so we can try to make that thing, whatever we choose, a healthy choice.
Yeah. And this is the reason why I love the awareness wheel, because it slows us down, but it also helps us to kind of see those pieces.
So what do I actually do? Let's walk through a common pain example again. Okay. So back to my back hurts today. Okay. So the thought might have been, I'm getting worse. The emotion was fear, right? And what I want is safety. And so some potential actions that I might take, I might avoid movement.
Ooh.
Not that I ever did that.
No,
but,
never.
no.
Not in your 21 years of unmanaged chronic pain.
Okay. So I avoided movement a lot.
A lot. You were really good at it.
I was good.
Yeah.
Yes. Cancel plans, stay in bed. Okay. So those are some actions. But notice something. That action that I was taking, it might provide temporary relief.
Yeah. Then that's the reason why our brain goes there.
That's right. Once that short-term quick fix.
Yep.
but sometimes it also creates new problems. And it sure did for me.
It almost always creates new problems, right?
Yeah.
Especially because the wheel, the awareness wheel, basically starts back over, right? Because you've got an action and there's a consequence to that action. And in a sense, for you or maybe for others, that becomes a new fact.
That's right. And this is what's interesting is the wheel doesn't stop. My actions create a new situation, and that new situation becomes a new fact in my life.
Yeah, a new trip around the awareness wheel.
That's right. And so then I have an interpretation or a thought about that, a motion, a want, and more action. So it's that cycle, and it continues. And so let's say, for example, for years we might think, why do I keep doing this? And the awareness wheel helps us ask a different question. Okay. What part of the will am I currently experiencing?
Slowing things
down, as you said, because that question's a lot more helpful. Okay.
Yes.
Why do I keep doing the same things over and over again? Well, at what point are we stuck, or which piece of that are we currently experiencing? Am I in my thoughts, and those thoughts are just, ruminating, and or am I in the emotion piece where I'm like, okay, I'm really feeling strongly. Well, what thought was it that brought me to that emotion? Yeah. Anyway, the wheel creates awareness instead of judgment.
One thing I love about this model, the awareness wheel, is that you don't have to change everything.
Right.
I mean, you can enter that wheel, you can become aware of what's going on inside you by using this awareness wheel model. And you can hop in anywhere, right? Anywhere you can become aware. You're feeling something, you can hop in there, right?
Yep, that's right. Maybe I challenge an unhelpful thought, right? Maybe I work on calming an emotion.
Okay.
Maybe I identify what this is causing me to want right now. Or maybe I choose a different action.
Ooh, yeah. In fact, action between what we want to do and what we actually do, there's a big decision right there. I mean, that's a Viktor Frankl size space, right?
That's right. And, small changes can completely alter the direction of that whole cycle.
You change your interpretation. That's a big change.
That's right. And, that's one of the important lessons that I've learned, as you know, in pain recovery. And that's change doesn't always happen through giant breakthroughs.
No. Profound baby steps.
That's right. It happens through small moments. And in this situation, small moments of awareness.
Ooh,
okay?
Yeah.
So if you've ever wondered, why do I keep reacting this way? I want you to know you're not a failure. You're not flawed. You're just human. But the awareness wheel helps us to understand that our responses are not necessarily random. There's a process happening. Your facts, your thoughts, your emotions, your wants, and your actions. And once I could see that process, I could begin influencing the process. Now remember, it doesn't happen overnight, but one moment of awareness at a time. And that awareness gives us something actually really valuable. It gives us hope.
And we like hope.
That's right, we sure do.
We do.
That's right. So if this conversation resonated with you, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. It really helps the algorithm for people to find us, and share it with someone who might benefit from it. We'll see you next time. And as always, remember, your pain is real. There is hope. And our goal is for you to have your pain in the rear view.